I'm Stephanie Rochelle with The Thread, and we're here talking with Danny Wallace about Masquerade, the upcoming movie based on his life. Danny, you have an incredible story of tragedy, love, abuse, and forgiveness. Tell me a little about growing up and the challenges that were so out of your control.
I grew up in rural Alabama in the 50s. I was born in '54, in December of '54. Firstborn son of a carpenter who was deemed by all who knew him as the finest man who ever lived. But the reality of what was actually happening was my father was a closet alcoholic. He also had many demons, obviously, that he was dealing with, and I suffered severe sexual and physical abuse at his hands and the many men that he had sold me to over my childhood. What was viewed by all who looked at our family as the normal little country family, hardworking father, mother who kept the house and provided for her children, was something entirely different behind closed doors. And so most of my childhood, I think, surrounded around staying 1 to 2 steps ahead of a predator. So that alone creates quite a parallel in the heart of a child. You already know how that predator is perceived, but you also know the reality of what you have to face day after day. And you're not smart enough at 5 years old, 6 and 7 to really think the process through. The core thought in your mind is, I just want to survive until tomorrow. So most of my thinking, the forming of masks to become different people, the living in my imagination, all came out of just a little boy wanting to make it till tomorrow. And I didn't really find any real rest or peace, I don't think, until 11 years old, when my aunt and uncle, who were the only Christians I knew of in our family, who took an interest in me, and they would take me to church with them, and I would sing in the youth choir, play piano, and sing at some of the Southern gospel singings in and around the area when I was a child. That was my outlet. And at 11 years old, they took me to an old country church revival where a historic fire and brimstone Baptist preacher on this fateful night spoke pretty softly, and the text of his sermon I'll never forget. He said, if you would like to know a Father who loves you, would you step out? And it's really the first experience that I ever had with equating the word Father and love in the same sentence. It didn't mean anything to me. I'd heard it preached at church, but it wasn't a reality in my life at home, because number one, I didn't think of myself as a child anymore. Inside, I was an old man from the time I was 5. On the outside, I looked like a child, and I'm sure I did childish things like putting on a Superman cape and jumping out of the barn loft thinking I could fly. But still, the reality was that I didn't find that real connection of father, child, and then throw love in the mix until I knelt in that altar at 11 years old. And then later, I married my wife at 17 years old and actually found the love of my life that I've been married to for 37 years, but that's another part of the story. And that in essence is where it all started, and I think it's the first glimpse of a doorway to some amount of freedom for my heart.
Now, there's a movie being made based on your autobiography, Masquerade.
Yes, Tommy Wood, who is the screenwriter of Masquerade, he took it pretty much directly from my autobiography. He only made it better, in my opinion, because my book right now is in its final edit, and in thinking back, I'm really amazed that he was able to get the screenplay he got from my autobiography, because it is very unedited and unabridged at the point that he wrote it from. But the movie is in the process right now, and screenplay is written, some things are being cast, and funds are being raised. It's an exciting thing, yes.
What do you hope to see come from a movie about your life?
I would hope that as the credits roll at the end of the movie, every single person who bought a ticket, whether they're ready to voice it or not, would already be thinking about their own masks, their own secrets. And I hope that the end goal of this movie will encourage us all that in the presence of the Lord Himself, without this being a religious movie, but in the presence of God and with that bathing light of forgiveness, that we all can understand that in His presence we have the freedom to take those masks off. And yes, we'll lose some acquaintances, and yes, we'll lose some so-called friends. But you will also gain some real truth and insight into who you are and who you were destined to be. And freedom really is a wonderful thing.
Danny, thanks so much for taking time to talk with me today. It's been a real pleasure. Please go to MASKquerade.com to learn more about the film. Now, I'm with Tommy Wood, writer and director of the forthcoming film MASKquerade. What about Danny's story compelled you to take on the project?
Well, compelled is the right word. After listening to Danny's story on CD and then reading his book, I was blown away by the story. As a filmmaker, I could obviously see the cinematic quality to the story, but as a father and as a son, it just really broke my heart to see what he went through.
What do you hope to come from the film?
Through Danny's life story, I see lives changed. When he goes out and speaks at a conference or some venue, people come up to him and they say, I've been holding on to this secret for years, and I just wanted to let you know that your story gave me the freedom to acknowledge it and to let go of it. And in forgiveness, there is freedom, and I think that that is a message that needs to be told to the masses. Right now, MASKquerade is in pre-production. We are doing some tentative casting. We've got some solid casting done. We are making some offers to some bankable actors, because for a movie like this that's a drama, it's so serious, yet it's peppered with hope, it's a hard sell if you don't have someone to be that anchor for the film. So we're looking for that right person or two. We are also offering investment blocks right now as we continue to put all the budget and financing together. I'm excited to bring MASKquerade to the big screen because I believe it's a story that will change your life like it changed mine.
Please remember to go to MASKquerade.com to find out more about the film. Follow Tommy on Twitter, username Scarlet Thread. Until next time, this is Stephanie Rochelle for The Thread.